Here's a post from Finnish Rogue. She writes, "What actually frustrates me so much is how much of trans activists' arguments rely on those few trans individuals who pass, when they definitely do not want the society to build policies based on people who pass. As much of their talk goes along the lines of, not all trans women even have penises, read, some of them have neovaginas, or how would you feel if these people, insert pictures of buff and hairy trans men who show off their abs, showed up in women's spaces, or what if you genuinely fell in love with someone you didn't know was trans until she took her clothes off, or are you going to check everyone's genitals before letting them enter a bathroom?" Implying that it's downright irrational to exclude fully transitioned passing trans people from the gender group they identify with because in your everyday life you don't do that either unless you find out about their transness. But then they get so fucking upset if someone as much as hints the idea that maybe that's where the line should go. That, sure, if you actually do pass to the extent that no one is able to tell practically ever, then certainly it won't make much difference to anyone else if you waltz into spaces you would have originally been excluded from. But that does kind of require that you go out of your way to, well, pass. No, that upsets them like nothing else, because expecting trans people to pass is the worst sort of transphobia. Transitioning takes time. There are unfair gatekeeping practices. Not everyone can afford the surgeries. Not everyone wants to have a bottom surgery. There are people whose bodies can't deal with surgeries or hormones. And anyway, no one should be pressured to do anything, blah, blah, blah. Which, I mean, it has never been about the societal pressuring trans-identified people to do anything about their bodies. It was those people themselves who told doctors they needed such treatments, or else they were going to die, apparently. But it certainly is interesting how their justifications and their demands are so very different. They say it's stupid to try to differentiate between trans women and women because I bet you didn't even know, insert famous trans celebrity here, was trans. But then they go on to say that if you acknowledge that, you should also be welcoming the 6'5" tall bearded titan with a booming testosterone voice and a visible bulge into your private community of women talking about domestic violence because he uses she/her pronouns now. And that you should use those preferred pronouns regardless of how much you could not actually see him as a woman, or else you're a bigot. Here's the thing. Either you think the existence of passing trans people should guide policymaking, or you don't. But it's fucking manipulative to use some trans people's extreme body modifications as a proof that gender identity is more relevant than biological sex, when for all intents and purposes, you very much do mean to force everyone to perceive and treat you differently no matter what. Like, is it relevant that I see a passing trans woman and I think that I am looking at a woman because of features that usually help me distinguish females from males, or is it not? Am I allowed to look for these contextual clues, or am I not? I.e., if your actual goal is to pressure me to ignore everything other than your chosen pronouns, you can't simultaneously say that me not recognizing a well-passing trans person as trans proves a point. You can't have both.